Mae'r flwyddyn diwethaf wedi bod yn flwyddyn heriau, na welwyd yn mwy debyg o'r blaen, gyda newidiadau enfawr. Mae Covid-19 wedi profi yn gwydnwch yn hystwythyr wrth ni ymateb i'r newidiadau sydd wedi effeithio ar ein pobl, yn cwsmeriad, yn cymunedau ac yn gwasanaethau. Enghreifftiau o'r newidiadau. Ym mis Mawrth llynedd, fe wnaethon cymryd cyfrifoldeb am y Llinellau Craidd y Cymoedd. Yn mis bach, cymereson gyfrifoldeb am rhedeg y trenau yng Nghymru a'r gororau. Y canlyniad yw bod Trafnidiaeth Cymru wedi bod newid y tu hwnt i bod gydnabyddiaeth yn ystod y 12 mis diwethaf. Ni nawr yn grŵp y dyma yn set gyntaf o ddatganiadau ariannol cyfunol. Ym mis Medi bydd y pwyllgol archwilio a risg yw'r cadeirydd yn lansio ymgynghoriad ar ein polisi archwilio a sicrwydd. Mae'n gyfle unigryw i chi sydd â diddordeb yn llywodraethu ariannol Trafnidiaeth Cymru wneud cyfraniad. Gan weithio fel un tîm, rydym yn gyrru gwleidyddigaeth Llywodraeth Cymru ymlaen o rwydwaith trafnidiaeth diogel, integredig, fforddiadwy a hygyrch, o ansawdd uchel y gall Gymru yn falchio ynddo.
I'm James Price, I'm up in Pontypridd today. We are getting ready to publish our annual report, and there's a few things that I'd just like to cover as part of that. Firstly, I'm really proud of everything that the team in Transport for Wales have done over the last 12 months, working through some really difficult times, like everyone frankly, but to continue to transform transport across Wales. I'm really grateful to our customers and indeed the wider people of Wales who've been really supportive of the whole team working through difficult times. And the most important thing is we remain focused on delivering a real positive change in transport across Wales and enabling modal shift to public transport in a long-term and sustainable way. Secondly, we've continued to develop the South Wales Metro. At the beginning of the year, we took ownership of the lines from the UK Government and Network Rail. We've then continued to progress design. As the year wore on, we've been out on the network doing significant work. Anyone who drives past Taftswell on the A470 will see that significant work is ongoing on the depot there. We're out and about on different parts of the network elsewhere, doing further work. We're about to start significant works on electrification right across the region. And then the team took the advantage when travel demand was at its lowest through the pandemic to get out ahead of the return to normal to do some significant work then, so we wouldn't be disrupting people in the future. Thirdly, we've been out and about more widely across the whole of the rail network in Wales, doing significant work, upgrades and plans, and we've seen work in Swansea, Wrexham and Bridgend railway stations, where we've really tried to bring the quality of the experience for the travelling public up. And that, of course, is just the start of a longer-term programme. As part of our station improvements, we've also opened the first new station in Wales since 2015 in Bow Street in West Wales, which will provide much needed services for the people of that area. And that also opens a station in that part of Wales for the first time since the 1960s. We've continued to work on our plans to introduce new trains across the Wales and Borders network. In South Wales, we've introduced the new 769s on the Cardiff to Rumney line, which will provide much needed additional quality and capacity for customers. We've also reintroduced the high quality north-south service, but with much more modern and much higher quality trains called Mark 4s. And many more of those Mark 4s will come into service over the coming months and years. And in North Wales, we are actively out bringing into service 230s that will run Wrexham Bidston again in the coming months and years. This year we've also been working hard with partners in local authorities and bus operators to launch something called Flexi, which is a new bus service which provides demand responsive travel. So that's travel that is more responsive to the user's demand, so that's really important for us. So far it's still a pilot, but we've been expanding the pilots across different parts of Wales. And the two really positive things for me is firstly, take-ups on average been much higher than we expected, and secondly, customer feedback has been really, really positive and really strong. Integrated transport is what we're all about at Transport for Wales, and that means making sure that it's easy to move from one mode of transport to another so that people can make a full and sensible and seamless journey. And as part of that, active travel is really, really important to us, and it's going to become more important in the coming months and years. And this year we've seen our first electric bike sharing scheme at Penarth railway station, and we'll see much more activities like this as we go into the future. None of the things we've done this year would have been possible without the continued support of our partners, of our customers, the wider people of Wales, and of course the team that's worked really hard to deliver all of these things, and I'd just like to thank them all very much indeed.
My name is Heather Clash. I'm the Executive Director of Finance and Governance for Transport for Wales. This is the first set of consolidated financial statements for the Transport for Wales Group. Our financial statements for 2020-21 reflected a total grant-funded expenditure of £638 million. This is made up of £356 million of revenue funding from the Welsh Government to run the railway. This included £176 million of revenue support and other COVID-19 emergency funding. There was then £88 million for capital funding for rail passenger services, including the purchase of additional trains, depot development and station improvement. We show £147 million of capital expenditure on rail infrastructure and a further £47 million on other projects and service operations. We welcomed 112 new starters within the year, and although we have some way to go, we reduced the gender pay gap by 8.3%. Our colleagues are working together to keep Wales moving safely, and we thank you for your support.
Dymerwch gyfer ein adroddiad blynyddol ar y we. Yn olaf, diolch yn fawr am eich cefnogaeth a chamynedd.